financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Good morning and welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is, once I eliminate the debt, how do I fix my credit score and budget for the future? Dun 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 dun. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Dun dun dun. With Jeffrey Linden.
Good morning, Ken. It's a pleasure for Brian to be here
Dun
this
dun
morning.
dun 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 dun. Kelsey Simasco.
It's so good to be here, and it's good to get the most enthusiastic introduction. I think Ken likes me the most.
I do.
Clearly.
Probably true.
Good, because I like Ken the most. I'm kidding.
Well, okay, fine. So,
You also have to factor in that I don't even like these guys at all. So, you know,
So the bar is pretty
you're,
low.
You're on a default top notch.
Listen, I'll take him.
No, I'm okay. Before we get into how, once I've eliminated the debt and where do I go, it's a reminder, the goal is the 3-point retirement plan. Own your home free and clear, zero debt, cash in the bank. Short story. I ran into a friend. He had actually been a guest on this show years ago, and he watches the show. And he said to me, I implemented the 3-point retirement plan 10 years ago, and it was the greatest thing I've ever done. Thank you. That made me feel really good. You know, his house is paid for. He's still working. My age. Still working. House is paid for. Zero debt. He's happy in that he knows he's financially comfortable for the rest of his life. And he said, I wouldn't have done that if I didn't encounter it in the show. Because not that many people, or not, I don't want to say people, but not that many, you don't see that much out in the media emphasizing the concept of getting the house owned free and clear. Not refinancing, avoid refinancing, pay more on your principal than you're required to so that you pay it off sooner, and get to that zero debt level.
Well, I'll tell you something. It's not controversial in any way, shape, or form to follow that plan. The reality is most people, when they retire, are completely unprepared to retire. They expect that magically you're going to be able, I'm going to go from working to collecting my Social Security and maybe my pension, and
somehow I'll be okay.
Right, but the reality is that, at least my experience with retirees, especially from the big three, is that when they retire, their income drops in half.
Or more.
And suddenly, and they've still got that same mortgage payment, and they've got the $1,100 Corvette payment.
And how are they going to make? Here's how
they don't.
I know.
That's the problem.
Here's how I look at it. I implemented the 3-point retirement plan. I'm still working, but I am in a zero debt mode. But I'm constantly thinking about, I've never been, the guru of budget management is sitting across from me. He probably can tell you exactly how much he's going to spend in August of 2026. I don't have that great of a sense. I know what my fixed costs are, but I don't have that great of a sense of managing my mind of what I'm going to want to buy, how much I'm going to want to spend on vacations, and how much my kids are going to tap into me. Or one of them anyway, if she's watching. So, but what I do know what I can control is when I have zero debt, and I know how much my Social Security check is, and I kind of know what my realistic expectation is that I will earn off that cash that I've managed to save over time on a conservative basis, I can add that number to the Social Security number And knowing I have zero debt, I can easily make an assessment, is that sufficient money without even tapping into principal? And that's easy to manage going forward once you get to the zero debt level. But if I go and I then have debt, it becomes much more complicated. Oh, let's go buy an extra house, and now there's a mortgage payment, and then there's insurance, and you get all these extra expenses that end up accumulating. Or let's lease a car or buy a car, and now there's a car payment. All of a sudden, that nut goes from almost zero to a much bigger number, and it's much more dangerous. It's much more difficult to estimate.
100%.
So to me, it's a simplicity factor, and it's a safe factor. and I also go back to what the genesis of it for me was the lesson that I learned and experienced with my father. When my mother passed away 10 years before he did, or 15 years, and he didn't have a pension, but he had Social Security and he had a veteran's benefit. But that was it. He didn't have a house, so he had to pay rent. He had a car payment. He had insurance on the car. And to my dismay, he had credit card debt, which eventually he let me get rid of, but that was a big fight. His nut was more than his income. And that's what that means is you can't be happy. You can't relax. You're either dependent on your children to help you, or you're upside down. And you don't have money to go on vacations. You don't have money to give gifts to your grandchildren.
You don't
You're
have
not
money.
happy.
You don't have money half the time to buy food when you're in that type of situation. That is more,
Which is really bad.
yeah, that is a true reality of what's going on these days. You know, with the price of food, the price of utilities, everything, people are truly struggling.
So when is it too late to implement the 3-point retirement
It's
plan?
never too late.
But what's your cover? If you're in the audience and you're watching the show, you're saying, and you're in your 50s, is it too late?
No,
I don't think so.
no.
If you're 80, maybe it's too late.
But it's a lot of it has to do with budget management to find the solution.
Let's take a break. We'll talk about budget management, and we're going to talk about credit score.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
For almost 60 years, Samasco Law has been the trusted source for helping families navigate the uncertain world of estate planning and elder law. And now, our firm is growing even stronger with the addition of attorneys Joe Frazard and Kelsey Simasco. 2 more lawyers to make sure your family is protected now and into the future. Call Simasco Law today for a free consultation. Our hardworking team is standing by to provide you peace of mind. Simasco Law. Protect what matters.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. Okay, so
So here's the solution. It
we're
worked
talking
better
for the
me.
80-year-old
Well, 80 to 90-year-old.
who's got debt.
Yeah. So you go find some nice lady who is kind of annoying to her kids, and you take that burden. You make the lady happy because now that's not the kid's burden. And then you live it in with her, and then the kids are grateful, and then they take care of their mother and you until you die.
So that
So you
is
just shack up with a person who has money. Is that you're basically saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's that. That's just listen. Every client that comes to me, no matter how bad their situation is, I always say to them, we will find a plan. There's always a plan. It may not be, the plan can't be I'm going to win the lotto, but if the plan comes down to I'm going to find somebody who's got money, that's a plan.
Well, so one really
I like that plan. I wish I tried that plan with my father. My father said, I went out with this woman. She had all these opinions. I couldn't stand it. Because my mother was very quiet. My mother had a ton of opinions, which she expressed to me, but she just let him go off on whatever he wanted to do and never said anything. He couldn't stand the idea of someone who had opinions.
What a devastating anecdote. So one really funny thing that we see, though, is, in my family, it's a 95-year-old in-law, right? He goes and moves in with his girlfriend. The issue, though, is girlfriend's kids are grateful, but they're also suspicious.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Kind of rightfully
Of course.
so.
Right? Which, I mean, yeah, honestly, I would be too, right? And so one really funny thing you see is if that's going to be your plan, you really need to have a great estate plan behind you so that you can say, Grandma, go move in with whoever you want. Grandpa, go shack up with that lady from down the street because I know you can't steal each other's money.
Yeah.
Right?
And which creates the right equilibrium. When they're together, they can share their money. The one who has more money can support the other by their own choice. But the one who has more money, when that person dies, that money shouldn't be going to the shack-up-ee.
Right.
That money should still be going to
Is
the
that
children.
a word? Shack-up-ee?
Shack-up.
It is.
Or is it
It's-
shacky?
It's in Black's Law Dictionary.
Oh,
if you
no.
look up.
Look hard? Yeah, I got it.
It's
Now
in
you're
there.
And if
Just
not,
making
it's
stuff
in the
up.
urban
No,
dictionary.
Yeah, but can we-
Everything's in the urban dictionary.
But funny enough with that
If you
situation,
keep saying it, it will be a word by the
I
end
think
of the
I think
show.
we should actually get to a little more pragmatic
works.
All right,
solutions.
so let's talk about...
let me throw one thing out there really quick though. If you are a man, it's going to be easier to find someone to shack up with. Because right now what we're saying, and I'm going into a VA facility right after this taping, there are so many more women in facilities. There are so many more older women who are looking for companionship. And so I hate to put them on blast, but ladies, if that's your plan, I don't know if it's going to work.
I do remember the first day I took my dad to the interview for independent living. There, all the women were sitting down on the couches and right by the lobby, and he walked in and they're all saying fresh meat.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's brutal out
I didn't
there.
understand why my dad didn't smile and think that was great news, but he says, "What are they talking about?"
Listen, Papa Joe loves that.
All right, so I've gotten rid of my debt, Brian.
Right.
Okay, what about my credit score?
So credit scores, as we've said numerous times before, they heal. Okay, so there's things you can do to repair your credit score. There's things that you can do to make your credit score move up after you've even repaired it, right? So start off with an easy solution for your credit. The first thing you do after you've gotten rid of your debt is go out and get yourself a secured credit card. This is offered by many major lenders.
Which is you pay $500 to have $500
You put a
credit.
$500 security deposit down on a $500
This is after a bankruptcy?
After a bankruptcy, after debt resolution, after you've had an event that you've
gotten your credit score so low that
right.
yeah, okay.
I mean, remember, your credit score can go drop 100 points if you have a single default on a bill, 30-day late. So you want to repair them as quickly as possible. So getting that secured card will help you. And make sure that it reports to all 3 major credit reporting bureaus. That's Equifax, TransUnion, and TRW, right? And
well, every credit card does.
not every credit card does.
No.
No. Really? There are secured cards that do not report.
So you want one from one of the major companies like Capital One. Well, there aren't any. Capital One is now Discover and Capital One.
Right, but
we're down to like 4 companies.
Even Bank of America has secured credit cards. Most Chase does too. So you get yourself a secured card, you pay it on time. That's one way.
Then they start giving you available credit, right?
After 6 months to a year, they will usually increase your credit
your
line.
utilities on time.
Pay everything that reports, your cable bill, your electric
Shouldn't
bill.
you just pay everything on time anyway?
You should, but now
Prioritize.
there's a trick. You said you want your credit score to improve, right? So you wait for your bill to cycle and then you pay it in full each month. That's really good for your credit score. Do you know what's better for your credit score though? You pay it in full before it cycles.
I have a question really quick. What does it mean for a bill to cycle?
So you charge up on your credit card, and then there's going to be a day that the bill gets created and issued and mailed to you, right?
Oh. So that day is the 10th of the month.
Right. So if your bill cycles on the 10th of the month and it's due by the 9th of the following month, right, within that 30-day window, in order to, and you pay it off in full, that's really great for your credit score. Better for your credit score,
pay it off before
it cycles, because then
so you've charged money in the billing period and paid it off. They've seen the activity, but your
score
balance
will go
was
up.
0 and then was 0 again at the next billing cycle.
That's a trick that mortgage lenders use to help you improve your credit score dramatically. In addition,
so you're paying. So in that instance, you're paying before you even get the bill. You're going online and you're just paying off the balance. You check the balance and just pay it.
100% correct.
I'll do that with I bank at Chase. So I have a Chase credit card, I have a Chase debit card.
Hold that thought, and we'll cover it after the break.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
You know, Dad made us promise we would never put him in a nursing home.
I know, but he found that new caregiver on the internet, and I'm getting worried.
Don't worry, honey. I know just how to take care of you.
I'm sure you do.
Maybe it's time to call Samasco Law.
You know, I've heard of them. All my friends on Facebook use them.
Take the stress out of your family's future. Reach out to Samasco Law and set a course through life's difficult times. Samasco Law, protecting what means most, because that's what we do.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. I want to announce THAV GROSS has opened a new office downriver in the Horizon building on Eureka Road. So now we're in Flint, downriver, and also our home office in Bingham Farms. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. You can do it by Zoom conference, in the office, any way that works best for you. Just call 888-235-HELP or go to the website, thavgross.com, to sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat or Kelsey, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Again, sign up at lawandreality.com or thavgross.com or just call 888-235-HELP. Also, if you go to the website, you'll see there's free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And The Retiree's Guide to Social Security by Pat Simasko. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Simasko Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Go.
So I use the Chase card, and it's a card that I get points or cash back on, which is nice too. But if I have something, I'll use it to buy something that I know, because I'm trying not to have debt, that I can afford, and I'll go home and I'll transfer the money from my checking account to pay off the card right away.
Right away.
I get the points, which I can then get cash back later, and then it's just using it for my convenience. But I'm not buying something.
And
that I can't
but
afford.
I'll tell you where else it also benefits you with your credit score: utilization. Okay, so we talk about not maxing out your credit score or your credit cards. The reality is to improve your credit score to the maximum capacity that you can while you are using the card. You should utilize it where you're not utilizing more than 30% of your credit, available credit.
Helps, yeah.
And it's even better if you utilize it where you're not utilizing more than 10% of your available credit.
So the key there is, if you're going to be charging big ticket items, you need to build up available credit so that big ticket item stays under 20%.
Here's another thing
here's the
that'll
question.
help you to improve your credit score. It's going to sound strange, but every 6 months, call your credit card company and ask for an increase in your credit line.
So that the available credit
That's
goes
right.
up.
As your available credit goes up and your utilization stays the same, your credit score will increase.
Because your percentage down. But in terms of your available credit, if you have a mortgage, how does that affect it? Because most people will have a mortgage that's a big chunk out of their...
I don't believe that goes into
the mortgage is
outside of it.
It is somewhat factored outside of it. It is still a
It's
aspect
total
of your credit
debt,
score. But it's revolving lines of credit that impact your credit score the most.
Well, what's funny is I just noticed the other day that my credit score dropped, right? And nothing in my life has changed. I've still been paying everything on time, but I've been trying to figure out, what have I been doing wrong?
Maybe your utilization went down, or your...
No, I literally just figured it out. It's that my credit card has a really low maximum, right? It's like $6,000. And in my head, I've been thinking, oh my gosh, that's so great. I'm going to keep it this way so that I'm never getting myself into trouble, right? The banks are going to see this and say, wow, Kelsey, you're so smart. When that's how high your availability is, I'm using the whole thing every month, or I'm getting pretty close.
So your utilization is actually high.
Yeah, and so my utilization is high.
So you need to ask for your line of credit to be increased.
I've had this card for so long that my credit is great and
You
I
should
could get an
increase the
increase.
availability.
I just have thought though, like, no, I think they're going to get mad at me if I do that.
No, and he's
Better
done
not.
the opposite.
Yeah.
You should
And
do
so, honestly, right after I leave here today, I'm calling my credit card company.
You know what I see a lot is I have a lot of available credit on cards that I never use because I basically just use. I'm a routine person anyway, but I use one card because that's
There's
the
a
card
shock.
I like to get the points on this one card. So I have a Wells Fargo card that I never use, and every about 9-10 months I get a letter saying
we're gonna
unless
close
I use the card in the
Yep.
next 30 days.
They're going to close
They're
it.
close it. So then I immediately, the very next Amazon purchase goes on the Wells Fargo card.
Yep.
I pay it off instantly, and then I'm done with them.
And that's the right thing to do.
And you know what? And the only reason I don't use the Wells Fargo card is they have points too, but I never can use their points. It's like I go on their line, and it's like nothing is easy.
Right.
Whereas like the card that I use, like and you're the guru on cards, I know, but I have a Citi card that like I can use those points on Amazon. So like my goal is, like I said, I get that big bill because I put everything on one. My goal is when it comes to Amazon purchases is like when I've got points to pay for the Amazon purchases for free, I'm like ecstatic because then the credit card company is buying me stuff. And that's the goal that you want to have. And that's that. If you're listening, you say, "Oh yeah, well maybe that doesn't apply to me." Well, it didn't apply to me when I was in my 40s either. I paid hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years in interest. I was a credit card user or abuser back in those days. But I implemented the plan, got rid of the debt, and now I have credit cards because they're paying me interest. Pay that card off. He's been that way all of his life. But I get more satisfaction, I guarantee you, out of using my points and getting stuff for free on a credit card than he does. Because he's been doing it all of his life. Me, I'm like the normal person.
We're not so sure about that, but you go with that.
Who incurred credit card debt and paid interest and had those high balances and had all that anxiety and got rid of it. So now in the last 15 years, I still get a kick out of it. And that's really where you want to get to.
Well, today, obviously, we're not going to get to budget management, but
Brian wanted to tell the coffee story. We'll just have to save it for another day.
But
what's the moral of the story?
The moral of the story is if you're going to use credit, use it responsibly, use it to your advantage, right? Get the free points, pay it off before your card cycles. Live within your means, and you'll find that your credit score will be way up there.
Save me some time in the morals. That also is the morals is before you can get to all this, you got to get rid of the debt. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.